I think they consider it the easiest 50%.
I think we might resemble that remark, some of us. Maybe just me, but great. Well, I've got almost 10:35, and so I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and get started and respect everybody's time here. And so I want to ask Sally, our member Sally Stern, if she would introduce our presenter today.
Really will. I think it's a real pleasure this morning to introduce Jodi Dean, the director of the Home Trust of Skagit. And Jodi has previously worked as a television anchor and a reporter and a public information officer with the Washington State Legislature, the executive director of Future Farmers of America, and Skagit County Medic One executive director. But at the very top of that very impressive list of her resume, Jodi put mother, because Jodi is the mother of 3 college graduates, a producer, a publicist, and a prosecutor. So it sounds like she's got every right to be proud of that. But this morning, Jodi is going to give us the scoop on the mission of Home Trust of Skagit and how it's working to address the conundrum of affordable housing in our county. And I assume we can put our questions in the chat. Is that right, Wendy?
Sure, that would be just fine. And if Jodi is open to it, we can also take questions from the floor as well.
Okay, well, so welcome, Jodi Dean.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I don't stumble through it too much. And I'm just delighted to be here this morning. Here we go. Let me see if I can find, there you guys are at the top of the mountain. I'm a mountain climber too, by the way. So that's kind of interesting how that landed. I saw some familiar faces, even though I don't know a lot of you. I did see some familiar faces that I see around town. What I'm going to do this morning is take 10 minutes because it's Zoom. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and I hope to leave you with an impression that you want to help out in some way, because I've learned in my long career, or it actually probably started on a dairy farm west of Mount Vernon. I learned how to work with a lot of people, and you can't do it alone. So I'm all about partnerships, and I'm going to go through some slides, and I'm ready to ask questions after we get through the slides. And can everybody hear me okay? Yes, everything's good about that. Yes. Okay, so Home Trust of Skagit. Boy, did I really land the right place for me to be at this time of my life. I've been here 6 years, and it was mentioned earlier as everybody was coming on this morning that the community land trust that I work for was trying to start out in Anacortes, and that's correct. In fact, I'm so grateful that Gabriel Olmsted was on the board at the time, because I believe he's one of the reasons I got hired. And he was on our board for many years and has stepped aside, but I rely on Gabriel. I pick up the phone and I'm always asking him questions. I have him actually looking at a build that I'm ready to do in LaConner to get his feedback. But I'll go through these slides. I hope I can get them to move here. There we go. This is who I am. My name's Jodi, and that was a nice introduction. I've really been blessed with a nice career, and I will say my whole career has been about serving people, serving the community, and that's why it's so easy for me to talk to you about the community land trust that I work for this morning. This is what it's all about. I'm going to get into some technical information in about 3 minutes, but I want to show you some pictures. This is what we do. This is what I do. We help people, families. A lot of our families lately purchasing homes have been single moms with children. And this is Connie, and she has 4 children. She bought a home from us in LaConner. Here was our first time home buyer. Maybe some of you know Susan. She worked at Community Action for years, and she bought an existing home that's near the post office. I'm in downtown Mount Vernon today at my office. mainly because while I don't have heat in here today, there's something going on at Paccioni's next door at the pizzeria. I don't know what it is. So I don't have heat today, but I've got power and I have internet. So I could show you some things. But this is Susan. Her home's near downtown Mount Vernon. She was our first home buyer in the trust. Here's a family that lives in a neighborhood that we built 11 homes in Mount Vernon. And we partnered with Habitat for Humanity to get those homes done. Here's myself with a family at the build in Mount Vernon. Again, our goal is to help families get an affordable home. When I was driving in here this morning, like many of you, there's a lot of homeless people all over Skagit County. And I'll share with you, I have trouble with that because I think, well, we got to start with the homeless people. And then my board reminds me, Home Trust of Skagit, we're a piece of the pie, and we focus on having families and individuals purchase affordable home. So that's where we are. There's other programs in Skagit County like the Friendship House. I know in Anacortes, they have such a great program over there for homeless persons, getting them into hotels with vouchers or getting them involved in the family center. Everybody's got their piece, and Home Trust piece is about helping a family purchase their first affordable home. I don't do it alone. Everybody, I'm sure, recognizes Susan Del Venti right there. You got to have politicians in your pocket. That's how we get a lot of federal money in the door. And Susan and others have been a big part of Home Trust of Skagit. Standing next to Susan, I've just got to do a shout out for Paul Woodmansey and his brother Tim, BYK Construction, built homes for Home Trust of Skagit 2 years ago at cost. So I just can't say enough good things about local businesses who want to help contribute to the affordable housing stock and challenge that we go through by donating their time and talent and money. Here's the mayor of Mount Vernon. Couldn't have done it without the city of Mount Vernon, one of our builds. Again, we rely on state, local, and federal money to help families get into homes. Okay, so you saw some beautiful pictures. You might know a family or an individual today that you can recommend our program to, that they want to buy their first home. And what is a community land trust? A lot of people, I know the difference, but a lot of people don't know the difference between Home Trust of Skagit. And then many have heard about the land trust, because the land trust has been around Skagit County for a lot longer than Home Trust. Home Trust became a 501c3 in about 2009. And it was a rollout from the Community Action Agency with a group of people that started in Anacortes, and then it ended over here in Mount Vernon. But that was about 2009. And so there is a land trust that does amazing things, but we're Home Trust. We're about the home that sits on top of the land. And to go through it rapidly and not get too hung up on the particulars, if you look at the screen, there's home and land. So a homeowner who qualifies for our program owns the home, and Home Trust maintains, owns the land. Okay, so you got the home and you have the land. And in that, there's a 99-year ground lease for a small $35 a month land fee that the homeowner pays. And then that locks, once the home is purchased and put in the land trust, it never leaves. And so a family might be in it 10 years, 25 years. When they go to sell it, it'll be sold to another family who needed a start. How do you qualify? I know I'm speaking rapidly and I'm getting through this. We focus, if you look at this chart, this is just a snapshot that sits on my desk, actually, this piece of paper. People call and they want to know, well, where do I need to be to be part of your program. And we focus on 80% of the area median income or below. And of course, you can see right there, this is 2020. 2021 will be coming out. I always look for it around May from the federal government. But right now, I circled a family of 4 will make just over $62,000 a year or less. If they're over the amount of money that I have circled, they don't qualify. So we focus on 80% of the AMI and below for families to qualify for our program. And what I can say about that is I remember when I took my job and I wasn't quite sure. I understood how a community land trust works, but I didn't understand how the family actually gets in the home. And this is what makes our program different. It's similar, but it's different than, say, Habitat for Humanity. And Habitat for Humanity has such a big name because it's been around for so long. Our program puts families in home in a more of a traditional way. You've got to be able, first of all, you got to live or work in Skagit County. You have to have an income. And it has to be 80% of the AMI or below. And you have to be able to walk in a bank and get mortgaged. And this is a very true example that I have for you. A family that's 80% of the AMI or below, they're going to walk into a bank and they're going to be mortgaged at 150. Some can get 180, but 150 is pretty much the amount when it comes to their income and what a loan officer will loan to them. For instance, Banner Bank, I've got 2 families right now at Banner Bank that are mortgaged for 150 that will be buying a home from us 2021, pushing around Christmas time in La Conner. And what the Home Trust does is we come up with the down payments. So through our grant writing process, we are able to secure that down payment, large down payments. We're just buying down a mortgage to get the family in a home. And then in exchange for that, they're going to own the home, and the Community Land Trust is going to own the land with a 99-year land lease. Again, here's just some more pictures of what our Community Land Trust is all about. We can't do it without elected officials. We can't do it without partners. Again, Skagit County has been a big partner for Home Trust of Skagit. In fact, I just put in 2 back-to-back grants. If there's, I'm hoping to get more funds in the door. And what that does, it goes towards that home and getting it locked in to the Community Land Trust. But ultimately, it's putting a family in a home. Here's more of Skagit County and the help that we get. What I want to say about the Community Land Trust that's really important, if you share this program with somebody you know, and maybe it's the grocery store clerk that you're going to and buying your groceries, and you've overheard that person say they want to buy their first home. What's really important that I do, and it's just part of my disposition, probably the way I was raised on a dairy and crop farm, when I get that 99-year lease out, I go right down to like section 8 and 9, and I explain to them that they're going to be paying a mortgage every month, and that's their nest egg, that's their equity. And when they go to sell that home, they will get equity back out of it. Not as much if they sold it on the open market, but they will be getting a good chunk of change back out of it to use to go buy a home outside of the land trust if they choose to do this. But here we are, we build homes. If you were paying attention to those numbers, you can't buy a home in Skagit County for $225,000 right now. $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 right now for just a basic home. So our home buyers that are qualifying for our program, we're able to do it when we build homes because we can control the cost. So anyway, this is just some pictures. Here's a single mom, 2 kids, bought a home that BYK Construction built for us to sell to her. She was picking, this is in their office, a couple of years ago, she was picking out the finish for the inside of her home. She works for a car dealership. She's paying her monthly mortgage and her land lease fee, and the value of her home that she's in is probably pushing $400,000 right now. And she got into her home for a mortgage of $128,000. So it almost sounds too good to be true, but it is true. We've got several success stories. Again, here's what I do. I rarely sit in an office. I manage the construction site from every little detail, and it's a lot of fun. I have board members that do go out on site that have background in construction and look over things as well. Here I am. I saved $700 per house on some homes that were built because I was willing to measure the foundations and save on flood insurance. That's one thing about Skagit County. If you are building in the floodplain, which Home Trust of Skagit is, it's hard to avoid, and it has to do with where we have land. You've got to have flood insurance. So I'm all about elevation certificates to keep the flood insurance costs down. So here's a finished home in Mount Vernon. Beautiful, two bath, 3-bedroom home, built by BYK Construction. They're just beautiful, high quality homes. Here's another. This is my favorite. If I was to build a home again, this is a home I would build. I don't have pictures of the inside, but it has wide hallways. It's a 3-bedroom, open design. It was the favorite of all our board members. Yeah, I'm just really pleased with this house. The person that lives there, just to kind of bring things home, she works for the LaConner School District, and she is just doing very, very well. So she worked on her credit. She worked on her finances for over a year. And during that period, she was at the hospital, left that job. The banker said, stay employed, don't go on unemployment. She got another job in the same line of work. And then after buying the home, she landed this beautiful job with the LaConner School District. And there's her home. Okay, we're always looking for board members. I'm sure you recognize at least one or two of these folks. Becky she is my board member. She's my treasurer. And Don is not, but I've known him for years. Anyway, we're always looking for board members to help and bring knowledge to the table. And board members ebb and flow. Some stay around for a long time, some don't. The pandemic has really changed a few things with some board members, especially working mothers who have children at home, who are being quasi homeschooled, although maybe the schools are going to open up. But anyway, we never say no to individuals that are interested in serving, because we can always use expertise and help. But Becky's the manager of WAFED, Riverside Drive, and she's been with us for about 4 years. Fabulous help. Okay, I'm going backwards, I think. Oh, there, let's see. Okay, this is what I'm going to ask of you today. That's a closing. That's where papers are signed and a house is sold and the keys are given, and the individual and the family, the kids, they move into the house. And what I'm going to leave you with today is in LaConner, maybe some of you know about our community there. It's called Channel Cove. It's been there since about 2000. We are building 5 more homes there. It appears that 2 of the 3 homes are sold. We haven't even broke ground yet, but signing, meaning they're banked, They went into a bank, they got mortgaged. We have the down payment for them. And right now we're out for bid on who's going to be building. We don't know, but we'll find out. But I'm going to ask you today, if you know of anybody that's looking to buy their first home, and it is in La Conner, please send them our way, because we would sure like to help them out. I got to learn how to hit this. There we go. Here's La Conner, Channel Cove. And 5 more homes will be going out there. Again, I always say you got to have politicians in your hip pocket, because that's how those relationships are extremely important. I'm always taking individuals and elected officials on tours, and there's Rick Larson right there. His office and many other offices have been very gracious and helpful to us. I threw this one in here because Home Trust had its first ever auction. We had so much fun. We made so many friends, and we raised enough money for a down payment for an upcoming home buyer. And then the pandemic hit. So in fact, it was about a year ago that I slapped a sign on the community center at Channel Cove, locked down. And we were in our final stages of getting our auction ready. And of course, we had to shut that down. But there's G. Scott. Some of you might know him. Look him up, G. Scott. He used to wash Seattle Seahawks cars, and now he's on Cairo Radio. So, but it was a great event. Okay, there's those 3 kids. I'm a mother. It's never gonna leave me. There's Julia, Jacqueline, and Robert, and that's definitely gives me purpose in life. But while I have that there, if you look over my shoulder, you can see Connie and her 4 children. 4 kids. And that's what Home Trust does, rain or shine, morning or night. We help families get in homes. It can be an elderly couple. It can be a single man, woman. It doesn't matter. It can be family with children. I will just mention lately, it's been single moms with kids that are buying homes from us. So what I have up here on the screen is my email, Jodi Dean at Home Trust of Skagit. If you go online and just Google Home Trust of Skagit, you can learn more about us. We have a fabulous website. If you want more technical information about how the nuts and bolts and everything comes together on that 99-year ground lease and how it all works, I'd be glad to shoot you a copy of that and spend more time explaining it. But I ask you again, we're looking for board members always, and we're looking for families and individuals that are ready to buy their first home, because this delay that the homes that we're going to be building in La Conner has been a 2-year delay because of the pandemic. I'm not blaming anybody, but there's a pandemic, and also an environmental review that we went through. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be here this morning. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you so much, Jodi. I see that we have a question from Amy Erie in chat. Amy, did you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hello, Jodi. How are you?
Yeah, good, Amy. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. This morning in the paper, there was something about House Bill 1220. Are you familiar with that? And does that impact you at all? It's related to shelter.
She froze.
If you know anything about House Bill 1220.
Tell me about that.
So I knew you were going to.
Listen, there's a lot of, go ahead.
It's about communities having affordable housing, shelters, mostly shelters, I believe. Like you can't opt out of having. So it sounds like so that every town has some allocated shelters.
This is what I can tell you, Amy. Yeah, what I can tell you is there are a dozen plus pieces of legislation in Olympia. And every Monday morning, I'm on a group where we're updated by the lobbyists that we hired as a group. And we're updated on many, many, many pieces of legislation. I'm familiar with this. There are a lot of pieces of legislation and funding. You know, there's that ear tag for the funding. That's really focusing at point of entry, and that's homeless and shelters. And so while I don't know the particulars of the bill you're speaking of, although I quickly looked it up, what I can tell you is there's a lot of action in Olympia. What the group that I belong to, we're focused on getting one word in a piece of legislation, and it's permanently affordable housing. Permanently, because a permanently affordable housing resonates more in the minds of community members, that if we're going to invest our local, state, and federal money, it's got to be permanent. It can't not be permanent. So the group that I belong to for the last 4 years, we're focused on getting that word into legislation because we believe it's better for all communities. So I'm probably going to read up on what you're asking.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jodi. And it looks like Carol has her hand raised. Carol?
I was just wanting to add to that I looked it up too, and it has passed the House and it's in the Senate now. So if you're interested in commenting on it, you can do that. It'll have its first reading. It had its today. Anyway, it's going to be in there now. And I looked up the roll call vote, and as expected from the House, both the representatives from District 40 voted yes to pass it. Our District 10 was split between Dave Paul passing it and Gilday saying no. And you'll never guess this, but District 39, both Eastlick and Sutherland voted no. Not surprised. But anyway, so it's active. It's a very active bill right now, but it does deal with, its title is something to do with, let me read it. Supporting emergency shelters and housing through local planning and development regulations. So it sounds to me like it has more to deal with emergency things and not something that the land trust or home trust deals with. That's all.
I do have.
Thanks, Carol. Jodi?
May I say something? Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I will say this. Two things. Number one, I don't know if anybody saw it in the local newspaper, but Home Trust of Skagit, and I'm pretty jazzed about this. I had $100,000 sitting in a pot with the city of Mount Vernon for 2 years. And Tina Tate over there at the Friendship House is purchasing another Barbara's house. And she had about, I don't know, $250,000, $270,000, and the home she's purchasing to house 6 people was $400,000. So I talked my board into donating $100K of our grant money from the city over to her organization to house 6 individuals on a rolling basis. So I'll leave that with you, kind of tooting the horn of my board I work for. I'm also on these Monday morning meetings that I'm on with the lobbyist and all that jazz. It really opened my mind this past Monday when it was said, homeless people are out there. And where do we want them to live as a community? And it was just the way it was said at that moment when we were all listening. And I don't know, that just hit me. Okay, we need to address this. We need to open our minds up way more and address our homeless population. I'm getting really opinionated here. I don't care how they got there. I just want to help them. So anyway, it was good. It was good for me to hear that. I can do better at my job because I heard that, even though we're not in the shelter business.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jodi. And I have a follow-up question about the Barbara's house relationship, because I did read that in the paper, was really excited because it looked as though there were opportunities for different ways for Home Trust of Skagit to be involved in that continuum of housing. So what will be the ongoing relationship between Home Trust of Skagit and the Barbara's House program?
That's a fantastic question. And we're not there yet.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is that all started literally a month ago. And I was on a Zoom meeting with Skagit Women in Business, and Tina Tate was just sharing as a director where she was at. And I listened to that. I thought, well, I think Home Trust can help them. So I got on the horn to Mary Hudson, who's a city councilwoman with the city of Mount Vernon. She also sits on my board. And I said, Mary, what do you think? And she said, I think it's a great idea. And it's an intriguing idea if we add in potentially that home becoming part of the community land trust with the land lease. We haven't had that conversation. Right now, it's all sitting with the city of Mount Vernon employees who have to make sure that when money that was awarded to us for down payments for permanently affordable homes is shifted to purchase this home, that would be permanent. But if it's not in our land trust, it's just a different animal. So that's where it sits today. This has happened so rapidly. I came up with the idea by listening to Tina, and I just rolled with it and didn't care about the particulars. I just felt it was the prudent thing to do when you've got federal money sitting and you haven't used it in 2 years. The reason Home Trust has been unable to use it is because of the price of home within the city of Mount Vernon. So it was better to give it away than to keep hoarding it and hoping that we'd be able to use it in the next, say, 24 months.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Are other questions for Jodi? Britt, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
I don't think she said me. I thought she said Britt.
Britt. But because she's muted, she may need technical support there to get unmuted.
We can't hear you.
Can you unmute? Just
Okay.
There she
unmute
goes.
everybody.
She's
I unmuted. Okay.
great, perfect.
My question is, there's great concern about, young families particularly unable to meet their mortgage payments. And what is your history with your clients in terms of their ability to maintain their homes under the COVID as a result of COVID?
I believe you dropped out, and it might be my internet. I believe you're asking me how are families in the community land trusts that I work for able to meet their mortgages during COVID?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And I'll try to break it down and keep it short. First and foremost, it's important to know that across America, with all the community land trusts that are in place, and Bernie Sanders started the first one, by the way, which I think is cool, really cool. There's about it's like less than 2% of community land trust owners that go into foreclosure. It's a rarity because land trusts like Home Trust of Skagit, our focus is to make that house affordable and not put a family in a home that they can't afford. And so we're buying down that mortgage and the cost of the home through our down payment assistance. And it's as a community, we're helping a family make the house affordable by taking our tax dollars and putting it right into that home. I can tell you through COVID, I've had a lot more renters struggling than homeowners. But with that said, there's been 2 homeowners in the community land trust that have been helped with their mortgages through the federal money that's come to Skagit County, and it's been administered by Skagit County. And both of those families, the breadwinner lost their job, so they received up to 6 months of help with the mortgage. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. What I will say too, I always tell a buyer that Home Trust of Skagit is a safety net. It's there's even though you're doing it the traditional way and getting your mortgage, there's a safety net and being connected with this organization so foreclosures don't happen when tough times come up. But my board, I'll have to say I'm proud of them, because I'll present them with a home buyer and they go right to, can they really afford this? Can they really afford this? Because we don't want to put people in homes that they can't afford.
Well, they can afford it when they apply, but because of circumstances now in the pandemic, may not be the case 3 or 4 months later, or 2 or 3 or 5 years later. And that's what's sad right now, is the fact that people are not employed in many instances, don't have the reserves, etc. And all of the reasons that they may not be able to continue to. But I was happy to hear that there is some federal dollars flowing to help them, and that's important.
Well, if I can chime in and say this, Skagit County and whoever the bosses are at the county or community action of Skagit County, the federal money is here and their staff are administering it rapidly. And Home Trust, we're just a little small shop. In fact, we laid off everybody and you're looking at the employee. I do have a CPA though, Dayreen, but I'm it. And when I say I, because it's me in here, but when we had renters, we have 18 rentals in LaConner. More than half of those renters, they're still not employed. And if it wasn't for the federal money that Skagit County administers, they would not have been able to pay their rent, and they would have been over a year now behind. So Home Trust of Skagit, we just go to work for our renters and our homeowners for the very things that you're concerned about and share. And I can tell you this, it's gonna get uglier it's been easy so far financially. It's going to get uglier for the next couple of years. And that's something that the board and I are focused on. We feel obligated to support and help the families who rent from us or who have a signed land lease. So it's kind of like wraparound services. You just don't sell a home, or you just don't rent a home and walk away. It's wraparound services. You always provide help. It's the way it is. Yeah.
Jodi, there's a question here from Patty San Angelo. She's asked, have you found a home in Anacortes yet?
Oh my God. No, and I got to tell you something. We have tried, and we have tried, from tearing down a home and building on a lot, to working with the city and trying to buy city property. We have been unsuccessful, and it comes down to dollars and cents. But I gotta say, you guys over there in Anacortes have one heck of a program with Dustin And that crew, it's just amazing. I don't think Home Trust could do as well as they do. They're great over there at the Family Community Center. You know, I don't even know them very well, but I get a lot of phone calls for people that they put in temporary housing who are looking to rent from Home Trust, and I'm just impressed.
Great, great. I have a question about rentals. You talked about home ownership. So could you talk a little bit about how you have rental?
Yeah.
folks?
Yeah. Well, we have rentals because let's just talk about the truth. In fact, I got it right here. Maybe some of you were involved in this or heard about it. So self-help housing. These are all the old books. Started in LaConner, and it was Channel Cove, and it went defunct, and then thank the Lord, Community Action of Skagit County picked it up, and then in 2009 Home Trust of Skagit was formed, and we assumed the whole property and have contracts with the state of Washington. And so with that property, there are 18 rentals there, nine home ownerships, 18 rentals. And then we're going to be building the 5 final homes there that were never built because of finances way back when, but that's all behind us. So we ended up with 18 rentals, and we have 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, studio, 1 bedroom, and the lowest rent out there is $506 for a studio, and for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's $703. It's all federal guidelines and qualifications and all that. But that's kind of our pride and joy out there. It's a great community. It's seniors, citizens, all the way down to little toddlers and everything in between.
So would it be fair to say that Home Trust moving forward, Skagit Home Trust is focused on the home ownership for families as opposed to the rentals?
Absolutely. Our community land trust is focused on putting more, beefing up, being part of. It's going to take several of us. It's just not Home Trust, but we want to contribute to adding more permanently affordable homes to the stock in Skagit County. So we are looking for land. We're looking for land and more land to build on in Skagit County. The rentals just came with the deal, but I got to tell you something. It gives Home Trust of Skagit value, because when I go into the bank to pull a construction loan, I got to have collateral. So those rentals have really helped financially stabilize Home Trust of Skagit. We're not making money off of it per se because the rents are so low, because it's with all the federal guidelines, but it certainly helps us pull loans, and it certainly helps us leverage grants, and grants are really important to our affordable home program.
Great, thank you. It looks like Bev has a question.
Oh, I want to review it a little bit. So what is the House bill that was mentioned?
It was HB 1220.
HB
1220, Barbara.
1220. All right. And would it make a difference if we would get hold of people who are possibly voting for that or not voting for that, maybe negative or positive? Would that be a good idea?
Carol, do you want to weigh in on that? Can you unmute, Carol? She can't unmute.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
I was using the wrong button. Would you repeat that? My daughter just sent me an important message, and I'm sorry.
Barbara was asking about HB 1220 and whether it would be important for us as constituents to get with our legislators.
Sorry to be distracted, but yes, it's definitely in play, but they're just today reading it into the Senate committee, and it isn't going to be something we have to do right this instant, but depending on what Senate committee it reaches, then we may be able to influence our legislators, depending on, I'm looking real quickly to see if someone's in housing. And of course, like, yes, Liz Lovelet is in housing for Senate, but she appears to be the only one in the Senate. So she'd be someone people from District 40 can contact. And until it gets out of the committee, there isn't a whole lot of point in letting your legislators know you want it supported, your senator. But once it is a little farther along and gets out of committee so that it has a chance to pass in the Senate, then that's when we can pay attention to it.
Okay, and looks like Jodi, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Well, it's about the Growth Management Act, now that I think about it, and I'm just kind of reviewing it here. So it's all about when a jurisdiction is updating their growth, their plan, they've got to incorporate in low, moderate, homeless housing, and that's something that's all new. All new. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing.
That Growth Management Act, there's a bill 5042, Senate Bill 5042, that deals with the time frame of things. I think it means if something is taken out of protected status, it never has a way to be put back in. They want to do something with the dates. And I'm sorry to be so vague on that. Jodi, you're making a face. I might not have it quite right.
No, I'm just reading.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it sounds like maybe there's some research that we could do and get a message back to all of our members, because housing is one of the things that we are, affordable housing and homelessness services is one of the things that we are committed to studying and learning more about, which we'll be talking a little bit more about in our league meeting. So let's get those two bills on our radar so that we can find out more about them and get word out to our membership.
And I'll check to be sure that the state league is in support of that.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. And so Bev Herbst, do you want to go next?
Yes, I do have a question. Jodi, thank you. This has been really interesting. Early on in the presentation, you were talking about how you're looking for clients, for potential homeowners. That surprised me. I thought I had heard in the past that you had a lengthy waiting list. Maybe I'm mixing up programs, but I'm just wondering, have you had waiting lists in the past, and has COVID affected that, or how does that work? Both buyers and renters.
Okay, so those are very good questions, and we do have waiting lists for both renters and buyers. And on the renter end of the business, we take any and all applications and keep them on file. And when we have an opening for a rental, we go to the file and we start the process with background checks and all of that jazz. In regards to the buyers, we have behind me, a big file of home buyers that are at all different stages of being qualified, and I probably got 50 applicants sitting there, and realistically out of the 50, there might be 5 buyers. Okay. And it has to do with being able to walk into a lender and get mortgaged. And that takes a lot of time for many different reasons for individuals. But maybe your main point, has the pandemic impacted buyers? Absolutely. Absolutely. I got to keep my head on straight because I'm just by nature an emotional person. And a lot of people have lost their jobs, or a lot of people haven't been able, they have their job, but they haven't been able to keep up on their bills for whatever reason. All of that impacts an individual, a family's ability to purchase a home. So yeah, the pandemic has hit our program for sure. And I'll leave you with this too. The 5 homes we're building are in La Conner. Some people don't want to live in La Conner. They want to live in Mount Vernon, Cedar Rowley, Burlington, Anacortes. So this build is really specific to Mount Vernon. So that will automatically eliminate a lot of people who just don't want to live in La Conner.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Great, thanks. Any other questions for Jodi? This has been extremely informative, and one of the things that I think it really points out, Jodi, is what you said early on, is that home trust, in the continuum of people having places to sleep at night, in the continuum, home trust has a very important segment of this continuum being permanently affordable housing. And in a county where, if I understand correctly, we have zero affordable housing stock available, it's critical for that group of people who qualify and meet the requirements to be able to have the program that you're offering. And it's great to see those smiling faces of people who are getting keys to their first homes. It's a wonderful program, and thank you. It looks like, is that Ed or Mary Ellen?
I just wanted to be sure what the median or the income had to be below what level to qualify for the loan programs.
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to depend. So it's got to be 80% of the area median income or below. And so if you're, one person, it depends how many are in your household. And so you have 5 in your household. So I don't have the slide or the paper in front of me now, but I can get that to you. It's going to be, or it's on our website as well, hometrustofskagit.org. It's going to be for 5 people, probably around 70 or below, maybe 68 or below. And here's the thing, it's going to change here in April, May, the new numbers are going to come out, and I guarantee the numbers are going to be higher. I've had people who have bought houses from Home Trust who went to their boss and said, I know you're giving me a COLA. Can you hold off because the COLA will put me over the amount. Can we legally do that? Yeah. We try not to, meaning take your COLA. We try to, not have that happen to a person, but anybody. I can guarantee you this, my word, people that live in community land trust homes with us qualify and need to be there. And I wish we had thousands of more homes.
So Jodi, there was a question about sharing the slide with the group again, if you could do that. But I also wondered is that information something that is publicly available, or when the new guidelines come out, would you be able to send us that picture?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's find that slide. And like I said, it's going to change here in a couple months. How do I get there to make it big? There you go. Was I close? Oh, 5 people as it sits right now is 67,550.
62.
Okay, I guarantee that's going up. So in May.
I think it would be really helpful as we're doing our study and our research into affordable housing and homelessness. I think it would be really valuable for us to be monitoring, again, this slice of the picture and who would qualify for the Home Trust program. So I'd really appreciate it, Jodi, if you could keep us in mind.
I will put this in your ear too. I don't want to get too chatty here, but so Home Trust, we're really good at making the mortgage affordable. Seriously, we are. You have a family that's renting for $1,700 right now. We're going to get them in a house at $900, and they're going to get a good interest rate, although they're starting to go up right now. But here's a discovery that I discovered after taking this job. Utilities isn't going down. taxes aren't going down. The cable that they need or the internet for their children to go to school, those prices aren't coming down. So it's just really important for Home Trust to do a good job on making sure that mortgage is affordable. But what about all those other pieces? So we're always working with elected officials, looking for ways where affordable home buyers can get cost savings on all that other stuff as well. Because that just keeps, that just keeps rising. And anyway, I'm just sharing that little tidbit.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. And Ed, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just, is that, those income levels, are they adjusted gross income?
Yeah, these are, yeah, this is gross income. Mhm.
Great. And Britt, did you have another question?
But, and we can't get a decent minimum wage. Minimum,
I know.
with everything else going up. It just, the only thing that's gone down are mortgage interest rates. But,
Mhm.
you know, this is a time when I cannot comprehend the mentality of our legislators, congressmen, etc., who cannot be more sympathetic toward a rise in the minimum wage nationwide.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Britt.
Sorry,
No, it's
our latest grievance.
excellent, excellent point. Are there any other questions for Jodi about Home
I'm
Trust
trying
of
to
Skagit?
get out of this right now. Ah. Can you stop my screen sharing?
I don't think so. If you,
Oh.
are you on a PC or on a Mac?
I'm on my Mac and it's just, I don't know what's going on here. I'm tapping. Well, there we go. Ron Weason.
Ron will help us.
Dahlsted's not there anymore. Now we got Peter. Okay, well, maybe I should just like shut my computer and exit your meeting and that would do it. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe if I exit there. Ah, there we go. Okay, I'm making headway. There we go.
There you are. Terrific, terrific. Okay, well, again, I just want to thank you, Jodi, for
Don
giving us
Wick's
this
on the
presentation.
call.
Don Wick is here and he was immortalized in your slides. So that is great. Thank you again for this very informative presentation. And I have a feeling that as we embark on our study of affordable housing and homelessness in our community in Skagit County, we're going to be coming back to you for more information and additional enlightenment about your piece of the affordable housing puzzle in our community. So thank you again. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you. I appreciate being here this morning. And I know there's somebody on this screen that would make a fabulous board member for Home Trust of Skagit. Think about it. We'll take you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Okay, appreciate it. You're getting applause here, even though
Great
you might
job,
not be able to
Jodi.
hear it.
Great job.
Thanks again.
Good work, Jodi.
Thank you, Jodi.
So Jodi, hope you can continue to join us for the league meeting. That would be great if you can do that. And we are going to do a little segue here. And so now it's my turn to fumble with the screen and see if I can bring up a little document here. Are you seeing yourselves?
No.
No, I'm seeing your screen.
Okay, that's good. That's
We're
just
seeing a
great.
document.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so what I wanted to do is to just go through, as I said before, there are so many things that we have going on right now. And I want to be sure that everyone is aware of what's happening and how they can participate. And so let's start with our focus on redistricting, redrawing the legislative maps for congressional maps and state legislative maps. Many of you I know participated in the Redistricting 101 presentation that happened in February. So we're in March now, so it was in February. Our February meeting was actually Allison McCaffrey providing Redistricting 101, this basic information about redistricting, what it's all about. And that program is going to be repeated on March 25th at 2 p.m. It's being done statewide. So if you are interested in participating, if you didn't get a chance to go to Redistricting 101 that we offered in February, you have an opportunity to see that same content, or maybe if you're like me, it takes a couple of times for it to really sink in, because Allison does have a tendency to talk a little bit quickly, I think. So you can register in advance for the March 25th offering of Redistricting 101. And remember that there is a continuum, a series of activities related to redistricting, starting with getting the basic information in Redistricting 101. What's it all about? How does it work? Who's on the commission? All of those kinds of things. And then we are partnering with the Snohomish County League of Women Voters to offer Speak Up schools. And in the Speak Up schools, again, related to redistricting topics, as the Redistricting Commission starts holding public hearings from the community, we want to be sure that our community members who have something to say about the redistricting and how it impacts them, that they have the tools that they need in order to be effective in providing their input. And so along with Snohomish County League, we are offering different sessions of training. There is on March 20th, which is a Saturday from 9 to noon, there is an offering which is 2 modules of training, one on how to create your testimony, how to succinctly get your point across, and then testifying. So what's the difference between creating your testimony and then actually delivering your testifying in front of the commission? This is training that would be helpful no matter what kind of presentations you're going to do with local elected officials. So would really encourage people to participate. So you can do the 2 modules together on Saturday, the 20th of March, or you can do just the module related to testimony, and that would be on Monday, March 22nd from 6 to 8. And you can do the testifying only portion on Thursday, the 25th from 6 to 7:30. So those are multiple options to do testimony and testifying. And then there is also another kind of deepening your understanding about how redistricting works and what all the analytics are that are involved, what we know that there's a certain number of population members that need to be in a particular district, but the way that the commission makes their decisions includes so much more, including all kinds of factors and information and demographics and analytics about people who live in various communities. So on Tuesday, March 23rd, from 6 to 7:30, there will be another presentation that's really about how the maps get drawn, what are all the pieces of information that go into it. And I think Carol will agree with me that when you, or anybody who's seen Dave's redistricting maps, is phenomenal in terms of how much data there is and all that goes into making the decisions about where those lines are drawn. So I'm going to send out this document so it has live links so that you can actually go out to the registration pages to register for any one of these that might be of interest to you. And then also related to redistricting, we just got in the statewide voter email, we got information about a National Day of Focus on National Day, People Powered Maps Day of Action on April 29th. And this is something for us to think about, whether we want to, across the country, there's an emphasis to trying to let people know how important redistricting is. And this April 29th is a day when there will be a lot of organizations that are focused on this topic. We here in Washington State, and particularly in our partnership with Snohomish County, we're already doing a lot to make sure that our communities are aware of what's happening with redistricting and how they can be involved. But something for us to consider is whether on April 29th, we might want to do something else that sort of highlights and expresses the importance of redistricting and how people can be more aware and more involved. And so this is wide open in terms of ideas about how we might be able to increase the focus in Skagit County on redistricting. We might, we might do a voter registration that has a redistricting sort of component to it. Lots of different ways we could approach it, but I wanted to plant a seed because I'm going to bring this up again at our program and voter services meeting coming up later on this month to see if there's any ideas that our league would like to promote or work on that we could offer on April 29th as a part of this whole nationwide focus on redistricting with fair mapping. So turning to another topic, we have a new civics book, and I'm going to unshare here for a moment. We have a new civics book. Many of you have already expressed interest in getting a copy of this. This is the state we're in, and it is the league's book that is targeted towards grades 3 through 5 for civic education. So we have had a book that is targeted towards middle schools for, oh gosh, Margaret, for many years. Margaret is one of the founders of that whole effort in order to develop the middle school book with the idea that the league could introduce this curriculum into schools in our area if they're if they're wanting to work with us and find it beneficial. Well, now we have a curriculum for grades 3 through 5 targeted in there to comply with the new legislation about civics education happening in elementary schools. So we have in our voter services and program committee, we have folks who are working on doing some kind of a program related to education and civics. And that's Kathy Ream and Susie Wilson are heading up that effort. One of the things that they have recognized is that doing something with educators at this point in time, with COVID and schools out, schools coming back, this is not the right time to try to ask for additional effort, creativity. They're just trying to hang on with their fingertips to be able to get the schools back open and the kids back in the classroom. However, we want to offer a program either late in the year, 2021, or in the beginning of the new year to speak more about civics education in our schools. We purchased a bunch of copies of this book because it is brand new, hot off the press. And so if you're interested in just seeing a copy of it, it's $11. Just let me know. I'll be glad to get it to you. And Carol said that she has turned over the book to her granddaughter for review. So we'll be getting a live review from somebody who's in this demographic, the grade 3 through 5 demographic. So let me know if you would like to get a copy of the book. We also, I guess what I'll move to now, there's some other things that are coming up with our program and voter services committee meeting, but I think what I'd like to do is to get maybe some additional input about some of our subcommittees. And Amy, I wonder if you'd like to talk a little bit about Observer Corps and where we are with that program.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So as you all know, I'm doing as most of you know, I'm doing the putting together an Observer Corps. right now we're a small group of about six of us, and I'll just briefly go over what the Observer Corps is again. This is perfect for new members who want to learn from grassroots about the law, how things get processed, and how our local government works. So I'm excited about it. Wendy's excited about it. And this would consist of hopefully that you could commit for 1 year signing up to the Observer Corps. And you would probably, you can choose to attend a committee meeting. And those meetings are usually 1 to 2 times, 1 time a week. And you don't, mostly it'd be awesome if you could attend as many meetings as possible, but if you can only attend, if you have to customize it to your schedule, that's fine too. And what we do is attend the meetings as an observer for the Skagit League of Women Voters, and you would get this pin you would wear to all the meetings. You are there as a member of the league, so therefore you're just there as a listener, as an observer. There's a report form that's very simple, and we would fill that out after each meeting, observing the laws of how to run a civic meeting, and if they're following those guidelines. If for example, one of the things you would be observing was their agenda posted in time for the community to observe, where if the public is there and they have questions, were their questions received with interest, and were their questions answered, or was there follow-up? Some of the meetings don't allow questions at those certain meetings, but then there are meetings where the public is there to ask questions. If you had your own opinion about something going on at the meeting, that you would have to present that not as an observer of the league. But if there was something that happened at the meeting that you feel the league, that it's one of the league's stands or something that we're interested in, such as homelessness or affordable housing, and you saw that there was something there that the league might be interested in following up on, then we would take that to our league, and we would then decide whether we were going to take some type of action on it. So it's an important thing to do, although it's subtle because you're just there observing and taking notes. But yet, we report back when there is something that you feel we need to follow up on. There is a toolkit that we received from the state, and there's a whole packet that I'm putting together as soon as I have all my members of my Observer Corps. So this is going to be the last shout out. If anybody would like to join the Observer Corps, so that I can move forward now with getting the packets together. It's a pretty straightforward packet of information from the state. And we will then have a brief Zoom meeting, like a training session, and it's all pretty basic. And then we would go from there. We would pick our committees and off you go. So I'm thinking in the next month or so, we can get this all finalized and get us going. And my internet has been, we've had to deal with some internet issues and a new computer. So I'm asking everyone, if I have any new people who want to sign up, please call me on my cell phone, 770 6244. 770 6244. Give me a call today, sign up, and we can get going. Any questions?
Amy, this is
Yeah.
Ed. The types of committees would be school boards, city council. What exactly are you looking at?
Yes, Ed, I got, hold on a minute, school boards. So right now I have Katie Dahlstedt wants to do Burlington School Board. Carol Sullivan, Mount Vernon City Council. Kathy Ream, Cedar-Woolley School Board and Cedar-Woolley City Council. Doris, interested in county commissioners. Peggy, Burlington City Council. Sally, Mount Vernon City Council. Susie Wilson was offering to do the hospital board. I'm looking for the PUD we might want to sit in on, and also the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Any other questions for Amy about Observer Corps? Okay, well, at our last Voter Services and Program Committee meeting, we talked about the possibility of maybe embarking upon a study on homelessness. And Margaret, who I think is one of the few people in our group who really has done studies with, maybe that's not true, but done study. I know I don't have familiarity with exactly how the League conducts a study on a topic. And so Margaret very kindly said she would be willing to guide us in terms of how that goes. And so Margaret, do you have an update at all on what we should be thinking about?
The only update I have is I think now we have several people who are interested in being on the committee, and we need to have a meeting. And of course, I'm going to depend on you to help me put a Zoom meeting together, given the circumstances. And the very first thing we have to do, and I think Britt knows about this and probably Patty also, we have to sort of determine what we call a scope of work. I mean, we have to look at what questions we want to answer with this study. And that's where the little committee, and so far the names I have are Dawn, Mary Jane, Nancy, Sally. I'm including Barbara because she's already given me a big help in resources. And anyone else who wants to be on this, of course, too, to have a first Zoom meeting where we talk about what do we want to do, how limited do we want this to be. Certainly we want to include, I'm saying today, listening to this, the home trust, this affordable housing component, in addition to maybe shelter, and we have to, there are separate issues to address. And one of the things that Doris mentioned at our last meeting was the impact of zoning on affordability going back a long time. Do we want to add that to our discussion? So I think this first meeting will be very exciting and interesting meeting where we just as a group say, okay, what's our interest here? And then we refine it to the point where we identify what it is we're going to do, what the scope is. And I saw Britt nodding, so I know she's done this before, because that's the very first, and that's really the hardest job in a way. And then we, as individual members of the committee, can take on a particular task, getting information together for us on a particular aspect of that. Barbara sent me some information that she had gotten from Jill Boudreau about the plan that the county already has, and all the agencies that are involved in what we're doing now and what has been going on for a long time, and funding sources, et cetera. So I think, you know, I'm ready to go now, I think, and set up a meeting. And I don't know whether we should piggyback it onto one of your already established times and maybe meet for half an hour after the board, or something like that would be more practical than having a whole separate day maybe. But I think it'll take us maybe at least half an hour for those half dozen people to share their views about what we ought to study and what our questions ought to be.
Great.
Is that helpful?
That sounds like a really excellent overview of how do we get started. That's terrific, Margaret. Thank you. And so what I will do is I will send out an email to everyone that you mentioned, which is Dawn, Mary Jane, Nancy, Sally, and Barbara Carson. And
Anybody else want to volunteer? You can do that too.
Speak up, yeah. So I'll send that out and I'll see what would work best, maybe piggybacking onto our program committee meeting or piggybacking onto our board meeting, which both will be coming up on Wednesdays. Next Wednesday would be the voter services, and then 2 Wednesdays beyond would be the board meeting. So we'll see when people are most available. How's that, Margaret? Okay.
Good.
Great, great. Thank you. Thanks so much. That is terrific. Another thing that we are working on is our nominating committee. And with the nominating committee, you know, every May we have an annual meeting. And at that annual meeting, one of the tasks is to elect our officers, which would be our president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. We also are looking at modifying our bylaws and looking at also electing a voter services chair and a program committee chair. I think those are the two. And so we have a number of open positions right now. We've had some people who have done a wonderful job and have really put a lot of time and energy into their work with the league. And now we're finding, because of personal circumstances, they need to step back or choose to step back. And so we're looking at the opportunity to have co-positions. So there can be co-presidents, there can be co-vice presidents. We can do secretary, you know, different meetings, different people can take minutes at different meetings. So there's a lot of different ways to look at how we can have officials in our league. And we are looking for people who are willing to take this next step. And it can be a smaller step with you know, sharing the responsibilities with someone else. But if you would like to suggest someone that you think might be good, or especially if you are willing to take on that responsibility of leadership within the league, Margaret is the person who's going to be heading up our nominating committee. And so please get your ideas to Margaret, because we need all of those positions filled, and we got lots of new members this year. We're looking for new energy, new ideas. So please don't be shy. Step up and be counted. Okay. I wanted to mention about upcoming programs. And so we have 2 programs that have been identified. Excuse me. We have 1 that is scheduled. So I'm going to share my screen again. And one of the things I'm going to do is, I'll try to find where I wanted to be. Hang on just a sec here. So this is the League of Women Voters of Skagit County, our website, SkagitLWV.org. And one of the things that is so great, Ed West is our webmaster, and he puts all of the information, all of the things that we're doing out here on the website. And if you don't know it, he also makes sure that we can connect to our meetings by having links from the website. So if you ever forget what the link is, you can come out to the website and you can click here and it will help you join the meeting. But I wanted to show you that we have for April 3rd, which is our next monthly membership meeting, we have a program that Bev Herbst and Kathy Ream have coordinated on a, this is going to be a series of events around innovative community policing. And so the first in this series is on April 3rd, and that's going to be looking at the program that Mount Vernon Police Department has with an embedded social worker. How does that work? What does she do? What are some of the results? What are some of the impacts on policing in our community? And so April 3rd, again at 10:30, the first Saturday meetings as we typically do. There will also be another portion of that series that will be with the Sheriff's Department and investigating, learning about the Sheriff's Department, which is a different model of community policing in incorporating mental health workers with the sheriff's deputies who are going out and going on visits for situations in progress. So we in Skagit County, we're really fortunate to have some models of innovative community policing that are happening. This is our opportunity to learn more about two of them, and hopefully we'll have more in this series. But I want to thank Bev and Kathy for putting together these programs. So right now we do have the date for Mount Vernon Police Department. We're still working on the date for the Sheriff's Department. So that is very exciting. And let's see, in March, upcoming meetings, March 17th at 1 o'clock, that's a Wednesday. At 1 o'clock, we'll be doing the Voter Services and Program Committee meeting. On March 31st, again on a Wednesday, that's going to be at 1 o'clock. That's the board meeting. And all members are welcome to come to the board meeting. It's where the business of the league gets done. So our treasurer's reports and program committee reports occur at the board meetings. And then every Monday at 10 a.m., the Action and Advocacy Committee meets, and Carol Sullivan has posted out on our website again the topics that will be covered. She records those sessions, and those recordings are also available on the website. And so there's been some fabulous presentations. I'm sure there are more fabulous ones to come. So lots of meetings, lots of things going on in our league, and I hope you'll take advantage of participating in these. We need you, we need your thoughts, we need your energy and enthusiasm to be part of the league, to make a difference in the civic nature of our community. So Carol, you have your hand raised.
Okay, I wanted to just say that this coming Monday, we are having a program about Seattle's democracy vouchers program. And I have kind of wondered, is this something we could have in our valley, either on a city level or county level? But if we don't know anything about it, we can't ask for it. So we have to learn something about it. And the people, Annie Tran and Wayne Barnett, will be here from the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission in Seattle to bring us up to speed on what a democracy voucher program could do for democracy. It really fits right in with our league goals of empowering voters and defending democracy. 10 o'clock, you don't have to be a permanent member of the A&A group to come to these training or information sessions. You can pop in for one meeting or all of them if you wish. Thank you.
That's great, Carol. Thank you. And so we'll get that onto the website so that you've got the link available. You'll just be able to click on it for Monday. That sounds like a really exciting program. Great, thank you so much. Good.
The link is active on the website for the Monday meetings.
Okay, all right, terrific. Terrific. And do we have this one about the democracy?
I need to get the information from Carol, and I'll
Okay.
put that information on the website specifically.
Terrific.
Thought I sent it, I'll resend it, because sometimes I put it down there and then I forget to push that little button at the very bottom that says send.
Don't we all? Yes.
Well, not everybody, but I have a real knack for it.
Okay, are there other items for the good of the group that anyone else would like to bring up or mention?
Just again, I did put the information in the chat at the beginning of the chat about vaccine availability and how to get your vaccine scheduled. So if anybody's interested, that information's in the chat. If you need help with it, get back to me. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Ed. Thanks to Ed and to Amy, who have been very involved in the county programs for vaccination and COVID.
We're starting the mobile units next week. Another mobile unit, and I'm going to be going to. I'll be at LaVenture School on Saturday, giving vaccines. Hopefully 300, and we're also going to be going over to Cedro Woolley to a low-income housing area and do vaccines on Thursday.
Fabulous.
And teachers are now eligible, and there was a lot of teachers going through
And childcare providers.
and childcare providers. There was a lot of those going through the line on Friday, so it was good to see.
Terrific.
Ed, I don't see anything in the chat on that.
It was the first thing in the chat. If you
I'll copy
I don't
it.
see it.
Ed,
I'll send it out to the whole
Okay.
distribution list.
yeah, I think maybe it was before you joined us, Don, so.
Saturdays, also Saturday, today is a good time to check the website for available appointments.
And this is the county health department website,
Yeah.
Amy?
Uh-huh.
Great,
Skagit County Public Health Department.
terrific. Great. Anything else before we close out for today? Kate?
Yes, I just wanted to let folks know that I was down there at the fairgrounds helping with vaccines yesterday. And at the end of the day, we still had a few vaccinations to give out. And so they started calling the wait list and some folks were coming in. So yeah, it's good. It's really picking up the pace, I think, down there at the fairgrounds, and the vaccinations are coming in.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate and Amy and Ed, for your work. It's great to see so many successes with the vaccination process. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to say again, Jodi, thank you for your presentation. I think it's been just really a terrific kickoff to our affordable housing and homeless study. So perfect timing and terrific information. Thank you so much. All right, we will close out for today then. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.